Rinne Sharingan. When we talk about the strongest eyes in Boruto, we have to start at the top of the food chain, the Rinne Sharingan. This dojutsu isn't something you pick up because you trained hard, or because your clan has a secret scroll hidden in the attic. This eye is so rare that only godlike beings like Kaguya Otsutsuki have ever used it, and even then, it took her munching on the god tree's chakra fruit to awaken it. Basically, it's the original, the ancestor that gave birth to all other ocular powers. Imagine if the Sharingan and the Rinnegan had a terrifying baby. That's the Rinne Sharingan. Now, the design itself screams danger. A red eye with ripple-like waves stretching outward, and 9 Tomoe circling it like it's taunting you with its power. But what makes this eyes horrifying is what it can do. The Rinne Sharingan allows the user to channel insane amounts of chakra and cast global-scale jutsu. And I don't mean large like city-busting attacks, I mean global. The most famous technique tied to this eye is the infinite Tsukuyomi, a genjutsu so massive it reflects off the moon and traps the entire planet in a dream. Sounds nice at first, free dream vacation for everyone, but in reality, it's like humanity getting soft-locked into an eternal loading screen. But it doesn't stop at genjutsu. Kaguya also used the Rinne Sharingan to tear open portals between dimensions. 1 second you're standing on a battlefield, and the next you're falling through an endless sky of acid, or freezing inside an ice world. Team 7 learned this the hard way when Kaguya kept bouncing them through different worlds, like she was speedrunning a survival game. Of course, using the Rinne Sharingan requires a colossal amount of chakra. Even for Kaguya, it took the entire god tree feeding her energy and the planet's chakra network to keep the infinite Tsukuyomi active. It's almost impossible for anyone less than an Otsutsuki god to pull off. Rinnegan. If the Rinne Sharingan is the ancestor, then the Rinnegan is the prodigy child that changed the entire shinobi world. Born from Hagoromo Otsutsuki, the sage of 6 paths himself, this dojutsu marked the foundation of almost every legend we know. Hagoromo got it after inheriting chakra from both Kaguya and the 10 Tails, and from there, it became a power tied to prophecy and destiny. In the Boruto era, we see different flavors of the Rinnegan. Sasuke Uchiha received his from Hagoromo during the 4th Great Ninja War. Momoshiki and Urashiki, on the other hand, naturally awakened theirs thanks to their Otsutsuki heritage. And to make things even flashier, the Rinnegan doesn't always stick to one look. We've seen it in purple, red, gold, and even blue, depending on the user. It's like the dojutsu equivalent of a limited edition skin. Visually, it's easy to spot, those pale violet eyes with ripple rings spreading out. But what matters is the insane set of powers it brings to the table. The Rinnegan grants access to the legendary 6 paths techniques. With the Diva path, you bend gravity, push enemies away, or crush them into the ground. With the Preta path, you absorb chakra like a human sponge, leaving ninjutsu users crying in frustration. The Animal path summons giant monsters. The Human path rips out souls. The Naraka path calls upon the King of Hell for judgment and healing. And the Outer path goes even further by reviving the dead or controlling the Gedo statue. Each of these alone could make someone a high-tier shinobi. Combined, it's borderline unfair. Sasuke showed us how dangerous it could be by mixing Rinnegan abilities with his Uchiha arsenal. He absorbed ninjutsu, teleported with Ameno Tejikara, and even opened interdimensional portals to chase down Otsutsuki across dimensions. Momoshiki and Urashiki took it to another level, experimenting with time and energy manipulation, something that we see hints of again in Boruto's ongoing story. But here's the catch, the Rinnegan is not infinite. It eats through chakra like crazy. Using the 6 paths back-to-back isn't sustainable, even for monsters like Sasuke or Momoshiki. That's why fights involving Rinnegan users often turn into a game of resource management. If you overuse it, you're left vulnerable. Tenseigan. Now, let's move to the eye that literally tried to crash the moon into the earth, the Tenseigan. This dojutsu comes from Hamura Otsutsuki's lineage, the other half of the Otsutsuki brothers' story. If Hagoromo gave us the Rinnegan, Hamura's branch gave us the Tenseigan, an evolution of the Byakugan. Think of it like the Byakugan leveling up to God-tier mode. Toneri Otsutsuki was the unlucky test subject who showed us exactly what this eye can do in the last, Nnaruto the movie. By implanting a pure Hyuga Byakugan into his own Otsutsuki body, Toneri awakened the Tenseigan, and the moment it lit up, bright blue iris with a flower-like pattern, you knew things were about to get dangerous. The Tenseigan is all about massive chakra manipulation, but it's unstable. Push it too far, and it can actually regress back into a regular Byakugan. It's like downloading a cracked version of Ultimate Power. You never know when it's going to glitch on you. When it does work though, the results are terrifying. The Tenseigan grants its user the Tenseigan Chakra Mode, a glowing cloak that skyrockets speed, power, and elemental mastery. It enhances yin-yang release, creates chakra-based weapons, and fires off energy blasts that could vaporize landscapes. Toneri even wielded a chakra blade forged from this eye, clashing head-to-head with Nnaruto. He shifted the moon's orbit, trying to slam it into Earth like it was a giant meteor. I mean, talk about overkill. What makes the Tenseigan so fascinating in Boruto is its legacy. While Toneri lost, the idea of the Tenseigan hasn't gone away. There are hints that Himawari Hyuga, Naruto's daughter, may carry its influence in her Byakugan. If that's true, then the Tenseigan isn't just a one-off movie gimmick. It's a ticking time bomb that could resurface in the next generation, and that puts it firmly among the top dojutsu in the series. Jougan. If the Tenseigan is flashy and destructive, then the Jougan is mysterious and unpredictable. This eye belongs to Boruto Uzumaki, and honestly, it's one of the biggest puzzles in the franchise. No official origin has been confirmed, but the leading theory is that Boruto inherited it through a mix of Hagoromo's lineage from Nnaruto and Hamura's bloodline from Hinata. Some fans even connect it to Shibai Otsutsuki, the godlike figure who transcended mortality. In other words, Boruto hit the genetic jackpot. The Jougan manifests in his right eye with a pale blue iris, a faint pupil, and, in the anime, a black sclera that gives it an eerie, otherworldly look. What's wild is that Boruto can't even control it. The Jougan activates on its own, usually when he's under emotional stress or facing a serious threat. Imagine having a supercar in your garage that randomly decides to drive itself. You don't know if you're heading to work or crashing into another dimension. But when it does turn on, the Jougan is ridiculously useful. It can see the entire chakra network and highlight weak points, like a cheat code. It detects negative emotions and tracks unusual energy signatures, such as the dark chakra of Nue. Most importantly, it can sense interdimensional barriers and even predict space-time ninjutsu like Yomotsu Hirasaka. That puts it on a completely different level compared to the Byakugan. Boruto first awakened it during the Mitsuki disappearance arc, where the Jougan helped him locate hidden dimensions and escape Deepa's trap. And while the manga hasn't showcased it yet, both Toneri and Momoshiki hint that this dojutsu will decide the fate of the shinobi world. Toneri calls it the key to dispelling the coming darkness, while Momoshiki warns Boruto that he'll lose everything because of it. Those aren't the kind of prophecies you take lightly. The Jougan's importance is only growing. It feels like the ace card that will allow Boruto to stand against the Otsutsuki threat in the future. It's not about extreme destruction like the Tenseigan, but about perception, timing, and insight. And in a world where enemies can bend time and dimensions, sometimes seeing the truth is the greatest weapon of all. Tomoe Rinnegan. When it comes to broken abilities, Sasuke Uchiha's Tomoe Rinnegan is right up there on the list. This dojutsu was gifted to him by Hagoromo Otsutsuki during the 4th Great Ninja War, and it's basically a hybrid between the Rinnegan and the Mangekyo Sharingan. You can see that combination right away, the ripple design of the Rinnegan, but with 6 black tomo sitting on top. It looks like an eye that said, "Why settle for one power when I can have both?" The crown jewel of this dojutsu is Ame-no-Tejikera, Sasuke's signature move. With it, he can swap places with people or objects instantly. No hand seals, no dramatic pose, just blink, and suddenly you're standing where his sword was a second ago. This ability alone turns Sasuke into one of the trickiest fighters in the series. He's like a shinobi version of a magician pulling teleportation stunts mid-battle. But the Tomoe Rinnegan also allows Sasuke to open portals between dimensions, giving him the freedom to chase down Otsutsuki across different realities. Add that to the Uchiha classics, Amaterasu, the black flames that never die, and Susanoo, his towering ethereal warrior. And you've got one of the most overloaded eyes in Naruto history. We saw how lethal this was when Sasuke fought Kinshiki Otsutsuki. With a single Ameno Tejikara swap, he tricked Kinshiki and landed a clean strike. Later, he used the Rinnegan space-time powers to track and pursue Momoshiki through dimensions, showing how much control he had over the battlefield. Of course, no dojutsu is without limits. Overuse causes the Tomoe to vanish temporarily, which weakens his vision and makes some techniques unavailable until he recovers. And because it consumes a huge amount of chakra, Sasuke has to use it carefully. Even the strongest shinobi in the world cannot spam it forever. Kokugan. Now let's talk about the Kokugan, the exclusive dojutsu of Ishiki Otsutsuki, later passed on to Kawaki through karma. If the Tomoe Rinnegan is all about trickery, then the Kokugan is about absolute battlefield domination. Visually, it's striking: a pitch-black sclera, a golden pupil, and an 8-spoked pattern that symbolizes control and balance. Almost like it was inspired by Buddhist philosophy. But don't let the calm symbolism fool you. This eye is terrifying in practice. Its signature ability is Sukuna Hikona, which lets the user shrink any non-living object instantly. Weapons, giant constructs, even themselves, shrunk down in an instant while retaining full strength. The move happens so quickly that not even Sasuke's Rinnegan could keep up with it. Imagine swinging a sword at someone, and suddenly the sword is the size of a toothpick. That's the kind of psychological damage the Kokugan delivers. The second ability, Daikokuten, pairs perfectly with it. All those shrunken objects get stored in a separate timeless dimension. Then, whenever the user wants, they can bring them back at full size instantly. Ishiki used this in battle to summon massive black rods and crush his enemies, or to release deadly weapons without warning. His infamous black cubes were the most frightening version of this power. They absorbed chakra, immobilized enemies, and turned entire fights into unwinnable scenarios. Ishiki showed the full potential of the Kokugan when he fought Naruto and Sasuke. He controlled the battlefield like a god, shrinking and expanding objects at will, keeping the two strongest shinobi completely on the back foot. Later, Kawaki inherited this dojutsu through karma and used it to defeat Code, proving that even without full Otsutsuki blood, the Kokugan is still ridiculously effective. Of course, there's one limitation: it can't shrink living organisms directly. That means it requires tactical timing and precise execution. But in the hands of someone like Ishiki or Kawaki, that limitation is barely noticeable. Senrigan. Senrigan, this eye belongs to Ida. But here's the twist. It wasn't something she inherited from an ancient clan or awakened after trauma. Nope, the Senrigan was manufactured. Amato, with his usual mad scientist who definitely watches too much sci-fi energy, used DNA from Shibai Otsutsuki, the dude who transcended mortality, to engineer this divine dojutsu for Ada. So technically, her eye is less about bloodline and more about biotech gone wild. The Senrigan shows up as a crescent moon pattern in her left eye, and its powers are terrifying in a way that doesn't even require fighting. With it, Ada can watch any event happening in real time anywhere in the world. Not only that, she can rewind her vision to see any event from the moment she was born. Think about it. Imagine living your life with a 24/7 DVR where you can pull up any channel, past or present. Creepy? Yes. Powerful? Absolutely. Of course, there are limits. She can't read minds, and she can't peek into mental or spiritual planes. So if Boruto's having a secret chat with Momoshiki inside his head, she's locked out of that party. But when combined with her other power, omnipotence, the Senrigan becomes ridiculously broken. Omnipotence allows her to rewrite reality itself by altering people's perceptions. And the Senrigan feeds her the information she needs to make the most devastating moves. That's how she flipped the entire ninja world's memories, swapping Boruto's and Kawaki's roles like it was editing a save file. In Boruto's storyline, Ada's Senrigan is more dangerous than most combat dojutsu because it changes politics, trust, and even the foundations of relationships. She used it to expose Amato's secrets, to stay one step ahead of Code. and to manipulate Leaf Village dynamics without throwing a single punch. And by 2025, her eye is still central to the Boruto-Kawaki conflict, acting like a chessboard overview where she can see every piece moving. The scary part, unlike other eyes, you can't fight your way around the Senrigan. You can't block, dodge, or overpower it. The only way to counter Ida's vision is to figure out how to stop her from looking, and good luck pulling that off when she's watching the whole world. Golden Rinnegan. Now from surveillance straight into raw destruction, the Golden Rinnegan. This flashy dojutsu belongs to Mangekyo Otsutsuki, and it activated after he absorbed Kinshiki's chakra. And when I say flashy, I mean literally golden. It appears in his palms and on his forehead, glowing like a warning sign that screams, "You're about to get wrecked." The Golden Rinnegan is unique compared to standard Rinnegan variants. While most users tap into the Six Paths abilities, Momoshiki uses his eyes for direct energy manipulation. His right hand absorbs ninjutsu, and his left hand spits it back out, only amplified. If you hit him with a Rasengan, he will toss back a Mega Rasengan that makes yours look like a practice ball. It's basically the worst kind of Uno reverse card. On top of that, he can convert absorbed chakra into red fruit pills, which he eats to instantly boost his power and stamina. And then there's the third eye on his forehead, which increases his perception and combat awareness, giving him the kind of reflexes that make even Keiji-level shinobi sweat. We saw the Golden Rinnegan at its most destructive during Momoshiki's battle against the 5 Kage and Naruto Sasuke. When he absorbed Naruto's Rasengan and fired it back in an upgraded form, it forced everyone into pure defense mode. It was one of those moments where you realize this dojutsu is not only about counterattacks, it turns your own strength against you. It guzzles chakra like crazy. Momoshiki needs a steady supply of stolen energy to keep it going. That's why he relies on absorbing others instead of wasting his own reserves. But when he's fueled up, the Golden Rinnegan is a nightmare. Ohirume Mangekyo Sharingan. Alright, it's time to talk about the newest Uchiha prodigy on the block, Sarada Uchiha. And yes, she finally awakened her Mangekyo Sharingan, and it came with a brand new power called Ohirume. Unlike most Uchiha who awaken their Mangekyo through tragedy, usually watching a loved one die, Sarada's moment was tied to her determination and emotional resolve. Her eyes awakened when she faced overwhelming despair and conflict, not because she lost someone, but because she chose to protect what mattered most. It wasn't grief that lit her eyes, it was conviction. Now compare this to her father, Sasuke. Sasuke's Mangekyo Sharingan awakened after the traumatic death of his brother Itachi. His entire journey was built on revenge, hatred, and grief. That's why his Mangekyo carried powers like Amaterasu and Tsukuyomi, abilities rooted in destruction and torment. His awakening was the classic Uchiha story. Tragedy gives birth to power. Sarada's awakening, on the other hand, flips that script. Hers came not from death, but from life, from her desire to protect her comrades and fight alongside them. Ohirume is born from hope, from the will to fight for the future, not the pain of losing the past. Now, let me break down Sarada's Mangekyo Sharingan ability, Ohirume, because this thing is seriously wild. When she activates it, 4 black spheres pop up around her. Each one acts like a little black hole. They pull in anything around them with crazy gravitational force. The first thing we see is how good it is at defense. Ryu came at her with a wave of iron sand that looked impossible to dodge, but the spheres sucked it all in. Gone. Like she pressed delete on his strongest move. Instead of clashing head-on, she let Ohirume eat the entire attack. That's the kind of counter that makes even overwhelming jutsu look useless. But here's the scary part. It's not only use for defense. She can use those spheres offensively too. By changing their pull, she lifted herself and Ryu into the air, basically dragging him into her gravity zone. That's not flying. That's straight up rewriting the battlefield. From that point on, he was fighting on hers, and then Sarada focused one of the black spheres right onto Ryu's body. The pull crushed him from the inside out until he broke apart into dust. That was it. Game over. No big explosion, no mind game, just pure gravitational pressure tearing him apart. What makes Ohirume so crazy is the versatility. It's not locked into one gimmick like Amaterasu's flames, or a single illusion like Tsukuyomi. She can block massive attacks, control the environment, and end a fight with a single crushing move, all with the same ability. If she develops it further, I honestly think it could stand shoulder to shoulder with broken powers like Kamui, not through teleportation, but by bending gravity itself. But it does eat up chakra fast, and her eyes are definitely under strain. But even in its first real use, Ohirume proved that Sarada is setting a new bar for what the Uchiha legacy can look like. Red Rinnegan.
While others relied on raw power or precise plans, Urashiki fought like a gambler. He was chaotic, clever, and most of all, adaptive. His weapon of choice was a Rinnegan that didn't just grant abilities, it changed forms. At first glance, his eye looked like any other, a standard purple Rinnegan. But during battle, something strange would happen. The color would shift, depending on which ability he activated. Red, blue, back to purple. Each color meant something different. Each color unlocked a new threat. The red Rinnegan was Urashiki's trump card. With this form, he could jump through time. Not just seconds, but full moments into the past. He used this during his missions on Earth, especially when things didn't go his way. If he misjudged a fight, he could rewind time and redo it. Like a game save, this made him nearly impossible to pin down. Even if he lost, he could just try again. Urashiki once used this ability to go back years in the past, chasing Nnaruto and Boruto during their time travel mission. This wasn't limited to short-term tricks. It was full-scale temporal movement, something not even Kaguya or Momoshiki could do. But time travel comes with risks. Overuse of the red Rinnegan could destabilize the user or the timeline itself. Still, Urashiki didn't care. His goal was chaos. His Rinnegan made him a master of resets. 10. Calorie Control based Jutsu. When you think of badass ninja techniques, your mind probably jumps straight to something like Kirin or Edo Tensei. But today we're talking about hidden jutsu. And these aren't the flashiest techniques. Hidden jutsu are techniques passed down through generations within a specific group of people, usually a region or a clan. So they're not widespread. They're not taught in schools, nor are they typically written down. Most of the time, they're passed down orally. So, sure, you might be able to learn some world-shaking forbidden jutsu from the second Hokage through scrolls, but secret techniques? Not so much. What's more, some of these jutsu can only be performed by people with the unique physical makeup of a particular clan, so even if they're shown to outsiders, those people still wouldn't be able to replicate them. And that brings us to one such jutsu, Calorie Control-based jutsu. The Akimichi clan's Calorie Control jutsu deserves serious respect, even if it lands at 10 on our list. This uniquely engineered technique lets users convert their stored calories directly into chakra, essentially weaponizing their appetite. The most iconic user? Our boy Choji, who went from being the fat kid jokes to absolutely demolishing opponents with his human boulder and butterfly mode. While other ninjas are desperately conserving chakra, Akimichi clan members are basically walking power banks, as long as they've had a good meal. In terms of raw power, when Choji goes full butterfly mode, he's legitimately terrifying. We saw him crush one of the Sound 4 like it was nothing. And during the Fourth Great Ninja War, it was only him and his dad, basically the Akimichi, who were big enough to go toe-to-toe with the Gedo Mazo. But it's almost exclusively close range. And that calorie to chakra conversion means if you're fighting on an empty stomach, you're basically screwed. At the end of the day, chakra reserves, no matter how big, are still limited. You can see it clearly after the Akimichi use butterfly mode. They slim down noticeably. So, that overpowered form, yeah, it can't be sustained for long. Keep it going too long, and it'll cost you your life. While Choji had his moments, especially crushing that Sound 4 member, the Calorie Control Jutsu never became a game changer for the broader Naruto universe, like some of the higher-ranked techniques we'll discuss. I mean, if there's one thing the Naruto world doesn't lack, it's giant, flashy jutsu that changed the entire battlefield. 9. Shadow Imitation Technique. Nothing says checkmate quite like watching your opponent suddenly freeze mid-attack, realizing they're completely at your mercy. We've arrived at Jutsu Num 9, the secret technique of the Nara clan, the shadow imitation technique. This clan-specific technique allows Nara clan members to extend their shadow to connect with their opponents, forcing them to mirror every single movement. And nobody wielded this jutsu with more tactical brilliance than our favorite lazy genius, Shikamaru Nara. This jutsu is not flashy like a Rasengan, or visually intimidating like Susanoo, but that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. Your opponent doesn't realize they're screwed until they literally can't move their own body anymore. Remember when Shikamaru trapped Hidan during the Akatsuki suppression arc? It was a masterclass in revenge planning. He mentally destroyed him before physically dismembering him. Sure, the jutsu has limitations. It needs light to create shadows, consumes considerable chakra to maintain over time, and doesn't directly deal damage. It's about creating opportunities. That's why it's typically used as a support jutsu. You need allies to land the killing blows, or to set up combo techniques. Otherwise, you're in serious danger of getting wrecked. It's not easy to go 1v1 with just this jutsu, unless you're Shikamaru. Later in the series, we saw various evolutions and new capabilities built off of this shadow-based technique. Shadow Strangle can actually kill opponents directly. Shadow Stitching can impale enemies, and Shadow Gathering allows for remote manipulation of objects. What started as a simple immobilization trick evolved into a multi-dimensional combat system. That said, it still lacks raw offensive power, and the user can't be overly agile in battle. In fast-paced fights, you just don't get a lot of time to pull off techniques like this. Still, to be fair, if we're talking about the scariest thing to come out of the Nara clan, it's not the jutsu, it's their intelligence. Let's be real, this technique only shines because it's used by some of the smartest characters in the entire series. 8. Gentle Fist. A little higher on the list, we have the Hyuga clan's signature technique, the Gentle Fist. This one doesn't need flashy explosions or giant monsters to wreck you. Why bother destroying mountains when you can just shut down your opponent's entire chakra network with a few well-placed taps? Let's be real, this is easily one of the most terrifying taijutsu styles in the entire Naruto universe. Imagine getting hit with what feels like a light poke, only to have your internal organs damaged and your chakra points sealed. That's the Gentle Fist for you. Elegant, precise, and absolutely brutal. What makes this technique so deadly is its perfect synergy with the Byakugan. Those white eyes give Hyuga clan members the ability to see their opponent's chakra network with insane precision. Remember when Neji absolutely dismantled Kidomaru during the Sasuke retrieval arc? Dude was literally hitting chakra points from a distance that Kidomaru thought was safe. That's the kind of terrifying accuracy we're talking about. Its uniqueness is also top tier. Nobody outside the Hyuga clan can replicate this fighting style effectively. Because, well, outsiders don't have the Byakugan to even see the chakra points in the first place. It's their exclusive party trick. And it's a damn good one. However, to be honest, the Byakugan is mostly used for recon and mapping. I mean, what's the point of having a vision range of several kilometers when the Gentle Fist is a close combat style? Even the longest range technique, the 8 trigrams vacuum palm, only reaches a few dozen meters. You could literally spot someone from 10 kilometers away, say Madara napping on a hillside with 0 defenses. But that doesn't mean you can do anything about it. And as the series progresses, we see more characters with god-tier chakra and abilities that make them nearly untouchable. So the whole blocking chakra points thing kind of loses its effectiveness in modern combat. That said, we definitely can't ignore the memorable fights it gave us. Neji versus Hinata, Neji versus Naruto, and of course, that brutal Neji versus Kidomaru battle. It's absolutely a clan-defining ability that adds tremendous depth to Naruto's world building. And yeah, Kaiten was something. 7. Mind Transfer Jutsu. Coming in at number 7 on our list is the Yamanaka clan's signature technique that's basically the ninja version of get out of your head and into mine, the mind transfer jutsu. This telepathic powerhouse earns its spot on this list, not through raw destructive force, but through its unmatched tactical versatility and absolute uniqueness in the shinobi world. There's nothing quite like watching someone's consciousness get hijacked mid-battle. You see, when Ino launched this jutsu during the Fourth Great Ninja War, connecting the entire allied shinobi forces mentally, that was some next-level communication. Pentagon tier tech levels. The ability to literally slip into someone else's mind, control their body, and access their thoughts is straight up terrifying when you think about it. It's the ultimate privacy invasion that no firewall can block. Ino literally saved the entire allied shinobi forces once by hacking into Obito's brain and redirecting the trajectory of that tailed beast bomb. Sure, the jutsu has its drawbacks. In the beginning, that slow casting speed made it painfully obvious you were about to get mind-jacked if you were paying attention. And let's not forget how Ino's physical body just slumps over. That vulnerability is the main reason it isn't ranked higher. Against elite ninja with lightning reflexes, good luck landing this without some serious distractions or backup. But what makes the mind transfer truly brilliant is its evolution throughout the series. Early on, Ino could barely maintain control over Sakura during the Chunin exams. Fast forward to the war, and she's mentally networking thousands of ninja simultaneously while controlling multiple bodies. This ability is insanely overpowered, basically a psychic superpower. It's perfect for interrogation and communication. Absolutely invaluable, but in the end, it's a support skill. And as the series progresses, every character becomes insanely strong, with unyielding, ironclad willpower, which makes it extremely difficult for Ino to break into and fully control their minds. By the time you're dealing with guys like Obito, only Naruto's talk no jutsu is getting through.
6. Hydrification technique. Splashing into our 6th spot is one of the coolest yet criminally underrated jutsu in the Naruto universe. The Hydrification technique. This one is the signature ability of the Hozuki clan from the Hidden Mist, and it's basically the ninja equivalent of being T-1000 from Terminator 2, just pure liquid badassery. What makes this jutsu so damn impressive is its defensive capabilities. When you see someone like Suigetsu transform his entire body into water, watching kunai and swords pass harmlessly through him, you realize this is basically the perfect counter to physical attacks. Stab him, water. Punch him, splash. Try to capture him, good luck grabbing liquid. This technique is basically the ultimate no-you card in close combat. So can Suigetsu attack? Absolutely. He demonstrates the ability to concentrate water in his muscles, dramatically increasing his striking power, or reshape parts of his body for surprise attacks, like turning his fingers into water bullets. And let's not forget infiltration possibilities. The dude can literally flow under doors or through bars. Talk about Prison Break made easy. Of course, every jutsu has its weaknesses, and this one's is lightning-style attacks. Someone like Darui can absolutely wreck Suigetsu with his lightning release. Basic science. Water conducts electricity. Game over. The technique also becomes less effective in dry environments, which means desert missions are definitely not a Hozuki clan specialty. It's just a shame the anime never fully explored its potential beyond Suigetsu's supporting role in Taka. This ability really didn't get as much spotlight as it deserved. Honestly, imagine if this jutsu had been given to a main character instead of a side character. We could have seen so many more creative applications and epic moments. 5. Insect-based techniques. Alright, bugs. Freaking bugs. Coming in at number 5, we've got the Aburame clan's insect techniques.
And I don't care how badass you think you are, there's something deeply unsettling about a dude who's basically a human beehive. These techniques let ninjas like Shino form symbiotic relationships with chakra-eating insects that literally live inside their bodies. Yeah, you read that right. The Kikaichu beetles aren't just pets. They're roommates sharing your internal organs. What makes this jutsu so fascinating is its ridiculous versatility. Need reconnaissance? Send out a swarm. Need defense? Bug wall. Need to drain your opponent's chakra until they're a husk? There's a beetle for that. Bugs do everything. Remember when Shino blew up an opponent's arm during the Chunin exams? Yeah, they've already beaten you before you even realize you're in a fight. But let's be real. The power scaling is what hurts this jutsu's ranking. Against average opponents, it's devastating. But throw Shino against someone with massive chakra reserves like Nnaruto, or area effect jutsu users like Sasuke with his Amaterasu, and suddenly those bugs are just crispy critters. On top of that, despite its incredible potential for stealth operations and battlefield control, Shino got sidelined harder than Rock Lee after the Chunin exams. We never got to see the full terrifying potential of what a master insect user could really do in a major battle. Still, the pure uniqueness and tactical versatility are more than enough to earn this hidden technique the number 5 spot on our list. 4. Earth Grudge Fear. I've seen some messed up stuff in this series, but nothing quite hits that sweet spot of fascinating yet horrifying, like watching Kakuzu's body unravel into a mass of black threads. This forbidden jutsu essentially transforms the user's body into a living puppet of black threads that can stitch together wounds, extend for attacks, and steal and incorporate the hearts of other shinobi. Each heart Kakuzu collected allowed him to use a different chakra nature, effectively giving him 5 lives and access to all 5 elemental releases. This man was walking around with a collection of hearts like they were Pokemon cards. What makes Earth Grudge Fear truly terrifying is its versatility. Need to attack at range. Thread tendrils. Need to survive a lethal blow. Just swap out a heart. Want to create autonomous masks that can unleash powerful elemental attacks? Kakuzu's got you covered. The way those freaky heart monsters operated independently while still under his control was some next-level puppetry that would make even Sasori jealous. Honestly, very few characters can use all 5 elemental natures, so that alone is wild. Yet, for all its power, this jutsu isn't without weaknesses. Maintaining multiple hearts consumes massive chakra, and Kakuzu's overconfidence in his immortality led to some serious tactical blunders. Remember when Naruto's Rasen Shuriken obliterated him? That's what happens when you think being hard to kill makes you invincible. While Earth Grudge Fear makes for an incredible combat ability, it doesn't have the story impact of something like Rasengan or Sharingan. It remained Kakuzu's signature gimmick without evolving the narrative in meaningful ways. Still, this is one of the most uniquely terrifying abilities we've seen. In a world where everyone's throwing around fireballs and lightning, the guy literally sewing himself back together with black threads deserves some serious respect. 3. Explosive Clay. Landing at our 3rd spot is the ultimate fusion of art and destruction. Dei Idara's Explosive Clay Jutsu. It's what happens when a ninja decides that killing you isn't enough. You need to be part of a freaking masterpiece when you go. Let's be real. There's something ridiculously satisfying about watching Deidara's clay creations take flight before turning entire landscapes into smoking craters. From tiny spider bombs that can infiltrate enemy defenses, to massive dragons that rain explosive hell from above, this jutsu's versatility is off the charts. And don't even get me started on C4, microscopic bombs that literally disintegrate you from the inside out. What pushes Explosive Clay above mind transfer jutsu is simple. Raw, destructive potential. While Ino's jutsu might let her hijack your mind, Deidara's art will straight up vaporize you and everything within a half-mile radius. Remember when he captured Gaara? Deidara literally bombarded an entire village, kidnapped their Kazekage, and then bounced, all with clay animals he made with his weird hand mouths. That's efficiency. Well, speaking of those hand mouths, easily the most disturbing yet coolest physical trait in the entire series. Imagine trying to hold hands with Deidara on a first date and suddenly feeling a tongue against your palm. Date over. The jutsu does have its limitations though. Lightning-style users like Sasuke can basically neutralize the clay's explosive properties, which is exactly how the Uchiha managed to survive their encounter. It's also chakra-intensive to maintain, especially when creating larger sculptures or more powerful explosions. But what really makes this jutsu legendary is Deidara's commitment to his art. The dude literally turned himself into a human bomb with C0 when he realized he couldn't beat Sasuke conventionally. 2. Curse Technique. Death Controlling Possessed Blood. Coming in at our number 2 spot is the stuff of pure nightmare fuel. A jutsu so messed up, it makes most other killing techniques look downright merciful. I'm talking about Hiden's Curse Technique. Death Controlling Possessed Blood. The most twisted voodoo doll technique in anime history. Let's break down why this jutsu is absolutely terrifying. Once Hiden gets even a drop of your blood and completes his ritual circle, you're basically dead. Not maybe dead or probably dead, just dead. Full stop. Hiden literally becomes a living voodoo doll connected to your body. Every wound he inflicts on himself transfers directly to you, and this psychopath enjoys hurting himself. What makes this jutsu even more insane is that it's packaged with Hiden's immortality from his Jashin religion. Think about that combination for a second. A man who can't die using a technique that kills by self-harm. It's like the universe's most cruel joke packaged in one silver-haired zealot. Remember when he took out Asuma, one of Konoha's elite jonin, taken down not by some fancy explosion or epic battle, but by a guy standing in a circle stabbing himself? Sure, the technique has drawbacks. He needs to obtain your blood, draw that ritual circle, and stay within it during the technique. But when those conditions are met, it's basically checkmate. The fact that Shikamaru had to outsmart the technique rather than overpower it speaks volumes about its deadliness. The same one-hit kill potential makes Hiden's jutsu so feared. This is an execution method with religious zealotry baked right in. The fact that it required Shikamaru's genius-level intellect and extensive preparation to counter shows just how formidable it truly is. This jutsu is insanely powerful. Hiden only lost because he talked too much and his battle IQ was way too low. 1. Adamantine Chains. Coming in at the undisputed number 1 spot, we've got the legendary Adamantine Chains, the ultimate sealing jutsu that perfectly showcases why the Uzumaki clan was feared and eventually hunted to near extinction. Let's be real here. Any technique that can literally chain down and restrain a rampaging Ninetales at full power deserves the top position on this list. What makes this jutsu absolutely insane is that Kushina Uzumaki, fresh off childbirth and literally dying, still managed to completely immobilize the most powerful tailed beast with these chakra chains. The golden chains manifest directly from the user's body, becoming unbreakable restraints that can bind even the mightiest chakra entities. While most sealing techniques in the Naruto universe require complex hand signs, ritual preparations, or multiple users, an elite Uzumaki can deploy these chains instantly as both offense and containment. Sure, the technique has limitations. It consumes massive chakra reserves, though that's rarely a problem for Uzumakis, and it can also be used offensively. Karen's chakra chains were even shown to destroy the massive wooden statue during the Fourth Great Ninja War, the same statue that hundreds of shinobi were struggling to take down. Adamantine Chains wins through sheer versatility and story impact.